go. So in today, we're going to now take some of the vocab that we learned yesterday, and you're going to see it show up today. In general, the problem, we're going to get a really kind of large problem, and the biggest challenge for us is going to be to organize the information, okay? And so what we're going to do is, number one, I always tell students to do this, go to the end of the problem and identify your variables. Because you're going to have several unknowns. Some are variables and some are constraints. It becomes tricky, okay? So you're going to first go to the end of the problem and identify your variable. I'm going to even tell you, look in the last sentence. That's going to help you. Number two, you're going to identify your constraints. These are going to be your restrictions, or this is going to be the thing you're going to make into a system of inequality. System of inequalities. All right, so once you do that, what you're going to do is then you're going to find the objective function. This is the thing that you're going to either maximize. You might see the words maximum or minimum. Thing that you're going to maximize or minimize. Okay, so that's kind of the organizing part, okay? And you're going to notice on your homework and on our note page, I kind of put a tool in here to help you organize it so you know how to fill that out. Okay. How do we solve a system of inequalities? By doing what? If I solved two inequalities or two equations or found where they intersected, like, how do I solve a system of inequalities? What have I been doing? Graphing. Okay, so you're going to graph your system, which includes shading, and then you're going to find the vertices. Of the feasible region. Just a reminder, you might, to find vertices, you might have to use elimination. Okay, And then finally, the last thing, once you find your vertices, is the last thing you did on yesterday's homework. What did we do with those vertices? Do you remember? We put them into the, what did we do? What did I ask you to do on the last homework? Substitute the vertices into the objective function. Okay, and so you're going to be minimizing or maximizing those. So the last thing is you're going to substitute the vertices into the objective function. And then depending on what the question asks, you're going to either find a maximum or a minimum. All right, so let's take then, I'll let you finish writing down. If you're done writing, I would like you to read through that example. It's going to take a minute. And then go to the end and see if you can identify what the variables are. The question at the end asks, how many packages of each mixture should Gino make to maximize the profit? This tells us two things. How many packages of each mixture? The different packages are going to be our variables. What kinds of packages are mentioned earlier in the problem? For the ones that describe a package of nuts. There's two kinds of packages. What do they say? A lower grade and a higher grade. Do you know what that means, by the way, a lower grade? A lower grade would mean nuts that are cheaper usually, okay, and a higher grade would contain nuts that are more expensive. For instance, you might not know this, but cashews are super, super yummy, but guess what? They cost a whole lot more than peanuts. If you would ever go to the store and look at the difference between the prices, so if they're making a high-grade mixture, that might include more cashews or something like that, okay? All right, so would you underline high-grade mixture and lower-grade mixture? Those are my two variables. What I'm going to do is I am going to let H be the packages of the high grade mix. And I'm going to let L be the packages of the low grade mix. While I'm at it, since it was at the end, go right here. By the way, I'll list L first and H second, okay? How much do they make profit on the low grade package? It says somewhere in the problem. So I'm going to write P for this is going to be my objective function. I'm going to write P for profit. I make 35 cents per package on the low grade mixture. So I am going to write 0.35 for the low grade. How much profit is made on the high grade? Yep. Okay. All right, so now that I have high grade, low grade, that helps organize because we're going to go back and there's going to be two more things that are mentioned in the problem. Did anybody find out what those two more things are that are mentioned in the problem? Yeah, those bags, the high grade and low grade, are made up of cashews and peanuts. Okay, so here's what I'm going to call resource number one. Okay, resource number one, I'll call what's mentioned first. Cashews. And resource number two, I'll call peanuts. These are my constraints, okay? Are you told how many, the weight of the cashews that you have to use? In the low grade package, it's 4 ounces. In a second, I'm going to put that with the L, okay? But are you told total how many pounds of cashews you have? Gino has 75 pounds of cashews. So on the restriction here, right, he has less than or equal to 75 pounds. And I'm actually going to multiply that by 16. Does anybody know why? Okay, I'll let that sink in. How about peanuts? How many pounds of peanuts does that he can stay within? He has 120 pounds of peanuts. I'm going to also multiply that by 16. Has anybody figured that out yet, why I'm doing that? Earlier in the problem, the packages are split into ounces. Yeah, I'm adding up the ounces and then it puts it in pounds. So I'm going to change those pounds to ounces. That's the only time I'll have to convert. Okay, on your homework, if I sign one like that, I'll tell you what. Okay. All right, would you put by variable 1, would you put an L? And by variable 2, this is going to be an H. Okay. Would you find in the problem, in the low grade, how many ounces of cashews are there? In the low grade mixture, how many ounces of cashews are there? 4. So in the cashews, I'm going to write 4 for the low grade. Okay. Would you go to, this is why we write it this way, because there's a lot in here. Would you go to the high grade? Can you find out how many cashews are in the high grade mixture? Yeah, so I'm going to write 8 cashews in the high grade mixture. Go back to the low grade mixture again. How many ounces of peanuts are there? All right, 12 L. And how many ounces are in the high grade mixture? And we already did this profit cost, but if we want to rewrite it, we can. The low grade makes a 35-cent profit. And the high grade makes a 55-cent. All right, now when we're writing our system, we're going to go across, okay? Let's row. This is for cashews. 4L